Welcome to another day. Yeah, this don't look nothing like a boat, does it? This is my utility room, and that is my brand new water heater. Yeah, the other one decided about 1 o'clock this morning to just explode. I mean, there was water coming out everywhere, out of these connections, out of the blow-off valve here. I mean, there was water running all over the place. It splattered enough it actually made it about 3 feet over here. I mean, that's just wow. I mean, lucky we were here and I was awake, because it could have sat out here and did this for about 6 or 8 hours. Again, lucky enough, I do have the water heater right next to the sub pump over there, which all of it just goes straight for the sub pump. I actually have some leftover hardwood for the house stored here, and not a piece of it got wet. So yeah, this is a nice setup for when this thing explodes, because it seems to be a semi occurring thing. It happens about every 6 to 7 years. We did cheap one time and it lasted about 4 years. So I don't know, ain't nothing we can do about it except keep replacing them like everybody else in this neighborhood does. But it means it won't be a whole lot getting done today, because I had to put this whole pile out of the way, and then I had to take everything out of the room, and on and on. So I have a lot of cleaning up to do and finishing up to do today. We'll have to get back to you tomorrow. See ya. And welcome to another day. Yes, we've pulled out our motor hoist, and yeah, this bad boy's seen some better days. Put a big bend in it there, had to do some reinforcements, but we have a welder, so that's what we did. Got the motor up. I'm not necessarily taking it off the stand at the moment, but I could not get my drain tub, or whatever you want to call it, underneath of the oil pan to drain out the oil. I thought about it for a minute, and I thought, yeah, I'll just do the oil change later after I get it up and, and all that stuff. I'm ready to pick it up. I'm ready to put it in. And I thought to myself, well, it's been sitting in there for a couple years. If anything was in that oil, it's fallen to the bottom. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to spin this oil pump with a drill and make it all suck it up right off the bottom. So I thought, well, that's probably not a good thing to do. So, like I said, I got out my stand here. As you can see, it was a lot of work getting it out over there during the winter time. Summertime, you just push everything out and everything's fine, and you can work your way back. Wintertime, you push your stuff out. You're sitting here and freeze until you actually get it back, all put back enough to where you can actually close the door. One of the issues I'm having is I ordered the new piece, the new adapter for my oil bypass lines. Yeah, well, remember what I was telling you about the other one? It had some strip threads in it. Well, this one wasn't even threaded. Man, it's the nicest one I've ever bought, too. It's amazing on what it came packaged in. It was beautiful. It came in its own little box, and then it was wrapped in plastic, which was then wrapped in paper. It had all these really cool stickers for the company all over it, all this stuff. And it was totally defective. I kind of miss a couple of the ones from the past where I just got it in like a mail envelope. But we have got a couple things down here. I've pulled out an old alternator. I'm going to take that pulley off. As I said, I'm having problems with the guy about the other alternator, so at least I'm going to use it to get everything straightened up on the motor. Got the new fuel pump in. It has its own issues. Nothing wrong with the fuel pump that I know of so far, but fit-wise, yeah, another issue. So I got a few things to do here, but right now I just need to get this thing drained out so I can put some new fresh oil in it, and then I can continue on from there. after a half hour of putting everything back, we're back down on 4 wheels. You know, I debated again in my head to keep it up on the hoist, but it's not what I want to do. As I said before, I have a lot more opportunity to work on a stable motor while it's sitting on the stand. And not only that, but I figured, you know, I really want to push it out to that end of the garage before I actually lift it up. Because when you're picking it up and you're trying to move on one of those things and the motor's all swinging back and forth, it's a big pain in the ass. So, I mean, why do things that are just going to cause me issues in the future? So I left it on the stand again, and we're just back down, and the oil pan's sealed up, and we're getting ready to dump some oil in it. But the first thing I want to do is I want to dump some of this Lucas oil stabilizer in it. Just got it warming up on my furnace here. Still a little chilly, but that way it'll go in the motor a lot easier than syrup, you know. I love that stuff. Maybe it's just the luck it goes with it, or whatever it happens to be. But oil-related failures are non-existent in my world lately. And then I'm going to fill it up with some Rotella tea. I like that stuff. It's, you know, made for diesels, and it still has the sulfur and some other stuff in it that they've kind of taken out. And I know a lot of people like swear by synthetics and all that good stuff, but in these old big blocks, it makes them sound like they're ready to fall apart. I don't know why, but it does. I've run it in a couple motors, and it just sounded like the motor was ready to just, you know, fly apart. I mean, the tolerances on these old dogs are probably a little lax compared to some of the high performance motors that are out today. So I like a nice big heavy oil, and that Rotella really kind of fits the bill. But lucky enough now, I don't actually have to dump it down the oil filter. Without a distributor in place, all I have to do is pull up this little tab, and I got me a big hole down there to dump it all down. I won't bore you with that. I'll just be back in a minute. We went ahead and got the oil in, simple as could be, and we decided we were going to come down here and fool this damn friggin' fuel pump, water pump again. And the reason I say that is because of I have a brand new fuel pump. It's supposed to be the one that matches the actual water pump. It's basically a small block Chevy fuel pump, and it looks like so because I actually have one of these in stock also from a Donzi build, and it fits in nice, but it doesn't make contact with the little round thing in there when I spin the actual pulley. So strike 1, 2, and 3 all at the same time, because 1, it's the wrong one, 2, it's the second wrong one, and 3, I noticed when I was fooling around with this one that when I put it in, now the pump swung all the way as far as it can up against the block, but that's where the hose comes off, and as I swing it around up this way, it gets worse. So I've just come to the conclusion that the inch of metal that I cut out of this guy, I will now have to put back in it, so it'll sit lower. And that's if I can find the fuel pump, because if I get told one more time that this is the one and it's not, I don't know what else to do besides put a cap on that thing and put an electric fuel pump in this boat. You know, hindsight's 20/20. If I knew any of this stuff was going to happen, I would have already done that. Well, we are where we are though. I just can't walk away now, you know. In for a penny, in for a pound. But either way, I'm not going to get this done tonight, so I've just decided that it's already going on 8 o'clock, and I'm just going to call it a night. And tomorrow we'll come out and fool with this stuff again. This is just dragging on unbelievably long. I really thought this was going to be a pull it out of the thing, buy a couple parts and snap them on and be done with it, but it's not going to work out that way at all. So I figure I'll be out with the welder tomorrow, and Maybe we'll try to fool with the alternator and whatever else I got sitting around, but at the moment, I'm just as stuck as I was days ago. We'll see. Welcome to another day. Well, we're back at it once again. We have our other bracket out for the water pump. We have our chopped up bracket laid out and kind of in traction, putting it together here. I'll take that off. As I said, I'm just going to put that piece right on back in. It's a little crooked right now because I just had to take it out and grind it off so I can get a ground on it. But that's the whole deal. I'm going to put it in this traction on this piece of aluminum. I'm going to put this guy right here for some added weight to keep it where it's supposed to be. And I'm going to go ahead and weld this thing up, hopefully for the last time. Welcome to another day. Gotta say, yesterday was a bit of a challenge, that's for sure. We took it upon ourselves to fix that water pump bracket, and things just went south from there, including some of the video. The camera just whited out. I don't know what happened, but it just, everything was just this bright white. And I think the last segment didn't get recorded. So I didn't even say see ya. So yeah, it just turned into a big pile of shit, to be honest. Because what happened is we welded up our bracket and everything was excellent. I mean, I was like, yeah, this is really cool. You know, you get a second bite at the apple, so to speak. I liked the bracket. It was fine. It wasn't worth taking off and trying to tweak. But I thought to myself, if I ever do it again, this is what I wanted to do. Well, I did those things. And everything's screwed up. I mean, everything's screwed up possible. The bracket didn't fit right. It wasn't at the right angle anymore. It tilted this way. It tilted that way. It tilted that way. And tilted that way. All at the same time. I didn't know what the hell was going on. And the worst thing about this thing is on top of everything else, when you want to just do a test run, you have to take all the pump off. And there's 5 bolts that all come off, and if they're not installed tight, the pump will sit on a bracket wonky, in which case then you're just getting false readings. So you got to put the whole thing together, put it on the motor, get everything bolted up tight, and after everything's tightened down, you get out your yardstick over here and start, you know, seeing if the planes of the pulleys are all straight and this and that. And then you have to take it back off, go back over to the press this way, press that way. Finally, at about, I don't know, 7 o'clock last night, I got fed up with it. And I just put 2 notches in the shoulders here and here. And I got out this pipe wrench and a big pipe and a pry bar and just started bending, standing, I don't care, whatever it takes. I mean, I stood on a thing 3 or 4 times. I've used the pipe wrench over here 4 or 5 times. You just pull it, tweak it, push it, pull it, tweak it, push it, and finally I think I've actually got it where it needs to be. So now I need to take it back off, take the pump back off, weld up my shoulders so it doesn't bend as easy as it has, because like I said, it's not easy, trust me. Like I said, you have to use this big pipe wrench down here and this big pipe to try to, tweak it one direction or another, and you're only moving millimeters. But I don't know what to say. It's just a nightmare. I mean, this has turned into a freaking nightmare. And I was hoping I left yesterday's luck behind, but apparently I have not. Because here again is my adapter for my oil system. Like I said before, in a pretty package, wrapped in some nice paper. Comes with stickers. I mean, this box is probably, here's the seal, a whole thing of stickers. And that box is about one of the nicest boxes I've ever seen an auto part come in. Once again, they hot rushed this one to me. It's defective. I don't know what to say. I mean, there's no way to screw this onto the block without it being threaded. So apparently yesterday's luck is continuing on. Hopefully that'll be the end of it. I've already kind of ordered it from another company. We'll see what happens. And who knows? They may have all come in this way. And I am not going out and buying a $30 tap to tap that $15 or $18 part. Just not going to do it. So once again, I just got to pull this guy off and weld up my shoulders. And hopefully it won't move. Then we'll get it back in place. I've already put the fuel pump on it over here. This is, like I said, this is a small block Chevy, but it still fits. Just doesn't hit the actuator. And yeah, that works fine. There's plenty of room there for the hose and all that good stuff. But I gotta get to work. And just like that, we're back to where we were 4 days ago. Well, new and improved 4 days ago. The water pump's in place. Yay! The fuel pump will fit on top of it without getting in the way of the water pump hose that goes to the thermostat housing up here. Yay! We got our alternator all straightened out. Spent a little time, fixed the pulley. I have 2 pulleys here, and neither one of them fit it. I guess there's just weird Mercuries or crap. I mean, I figured they're both Delcos. They look identical except for the little flamer lifter thing on the outside there. Go figure. But that one's fixed. At least good enough to get everything straightened out. If it doesn't work, as I said, we'll just take it off and replace it. It's really easy enough to do in a 19. I'm going to have to replace the fan belt. That's entirely too long. That alternator needs to be pushed right up against the block. So, but at least I have one that fits it. So now I know how to downsize it for the right one. And just to get some stuff out of some boxes here, I went ahead and went with our new oil fill here. Did the wires. Strangest thing, I just grabbed a distributor and I come over here to just set it in place so I could use it as a template to do all the wiring. Well, I just put it in and I was like, thump. Don't, and it fell right in. It's like it's set. And sadly, it's not going to stay there. It has to come back out anyway because we got to spin the oil pump when we actually get our oil system finished, which we're still waiting on parts for that. So, but the wiring's done. We also got our PVC valve in, which I'm really not understanding why marine motors are against. I just don't understand it. I mean, they have those things, those little hoses that come up to your flame arrestor, and on the outside of it. Now, think about air and the way it's going to travel into the carburetor. Now, it'll create a draft off that hose, but it's not going to cause a vacuum on that hose because the air coming through the flame arrestor is going to take the least path of resistance. So, it's not going to cause a vacuum on that hose. So it's basically for anything like blow-by that comes up through the hose gets sucked up by the carburetor instead of letting it spill out into the motor box. That's all it does. Now, positive crankcase ventilation actually draws air through the motor. Pulls all the moisture out of the motor. Now, moisture, marine environment, it's just not clicking to me. Why wouldn't you use that? But brand new one's in place just because it came in. It was in a box and I needed to get rid of it. As I said, I've got all my old parts over here. I'm not going to be able to do the MSD. I do need to get a bracket for my coil, but I have all the ignition, so the ignition is pretty much done. I just need to, like I said, I got 2 brackets that'll lay the coil on the side, and I need one to make it stand straight up. But besides that, for a day it started off on the wrong foot. Again, my oil adapter sits right here. It didn't finish out so bad. Now I just gotta take this last fan belt off, and those other 3 down there. I got short and long, so I'm gonna find whatever's in between. And that way I'll be able to figure it out. Like I said, I want to get these things as close as possible. I want to get that one semi up a little bit. We'll just buy a couple of them, and like I said before, the rest of them will just sit on the wall over there for future endeavors. That's it for me. I'll see you tomorrow. Welcome to another day. Yeah, we're back here again. Of course we are. It's wintertime. You know, things are moving slow. Everything's getting shipped real slow. But we're making progress. We just got our shipment in of our new fan belts for the alternator and the water pump. Yay! Hopefully these are going to be the right size. You know, it's just figuring it out. But I mean, I want to try to get the alternator tighter, and I want to get this one a little more outwards. You know, just playing. $5 a belt. What the hell? We also got in some wire. I don't know, looms, locking looms. I like the way these lock. Those other ones end up in the bilge. Yeah, plastic things floating around in the bilge is not, you know, to my liking. We got our coil stand. Yeah. And this beauty. Look at this thing. Look at this box. It also had that plastic around it, but check this box out. It was actually packed in this plastic also. And that's a nice box. I did not pay nearly what this box looks like I would have paid, but apparently I have the right one now, because that little pump handle is straight up, and that's it. I know that's right. And add to the benefits of this guy, it's not as thick as I thought it was going to be. I'm really having a hard time getting out of the box. Beautiful box. But I do have to make some alterations. Once again, we need to alter this one and this one. And yeah, we're going to make ourselves all done with this project here today. Alright, went ahead and got our wire looms on. Gotta be honest with you, I would have paid extra for a set that actually came with 2 of the 4 clamps. I have to buy 2 sets, which of course you're only going to use the 2 and the 3 for, you know, a short run there. But then you have the 4th one here. You always need a second 4th one. Oh well. $3.79 each, I think it was. It's not the end of the world. I've got my coil up here. I'm really not sure how I'm going to mount this bad boy yet, because I only have 1 screw down point. And I need the plate that goes on top of here that holds all the throttle linkage, and it comes out and goes down this way. So I'm going to have to get a plate before I finalize where this goes. But it's there. I got the pieces. Hey, that's a plus. Worked on a fan belt or 2. Decided I'm going to go with this fan belt. This one actually sucks it right up against the block. As you can see, I mean, it's already tight, and it's just because it's on the end of the actual slide here. That's as far as it can go. Just a little pull on it, and it'll be as tight as it needs to be. And I have all this extra to get rid of if I need to, because as I said, I'm kind of worried about things sticking out further and further here. Right now we're all set, no big deal. And then if this does stick out a tiny bit, I can actually take it off, drop it back a couple inches, and then re-drill the hole and then put it back on. I'll have plenty of swing still there with this fan belt. And this fan belt will just have to be the official fan belt for the motor from this point on, which works out great anyway, because it's brand new and you probably won't have to replace it for 10 years, 15 years. I don't know. I have fan belts that have been around forever, as long as they don't get all cracked up and screwed up like, you know, this one is. This one's just for measuring. but you know, most of them look like this. I mean, this one here could easily be 10 years old. I'd use it if I had to, but since I was buying brand new, what the hell. And then we got a big surprise here. Come over here to work on my fuel pump. I figured I would have to do what I had to do to this one, you know, and take the body apart and drill it all out for these 1/4-inch fittings. Well, apparently it's already drilled out for 1/4-inch fittings. I guess it came in a pretty box already drilled out. I mean, this is turning out to be the fuel pump of my dreams here. So I just need to put it all back together and then I guess install it on the motor. Okay, I went ahead and got my water pump all done up nice and tight. Yeah, it's nice and tight. Didn't want to fool with it with the actual fuel pump on there. I thought it was just easier to, you know, with it out of the way to get the first initial where it should be set. And we're all set there. Went ahead and filled it up with a little gear lube. 80W90, it's what I use in my V drives. It should be good enough for this. I'm actually just letting it settle out. You know, I don't want it to end up being low after I actually install the fuel pump on top of it, because the only way you can check is by these little screws down there, and I think I want it nice and topped off for the first run around. So I also stuck my finger in there and moved the, I don't know, what is it called, accelerator, or I'm not sure, whatever it is, the wheel in there, and I made sure it was all spun around a bunch of times, so that way there's no dry spots anywhere. As I said, I'm waiting for it to settle out so I can add just a tiny bit more. And I'm also waiting on my bolts to dry. Yeah, I didn't paint those either. So, and I really thought I was going to end up with a black fuel pump, but I ended up with a silver one. So the bolts have got to be painted prior to it actually being installed, because I'm leaving that just like it is, at least for now. And then of course our mail lady showed up, and we got ourselves another TransDAP little filtration component, and again in the beautiful little box it came in. I already got rid of the paper because I had to look, and yes, it is threaded. Finally, number 3. It only took 3 weeks to actually get this in. You know, by the time you order it, it shows up, you find out it's wrong, you know, return it, they send another one, blah blah blah. That's it. That's the $1 million problem from all of these. It's been that threads right there. They didn't exist in the other ones, but it's here. And another surprise that I wasn't expecting but did show up, and it looks like hell. This is actually a thermostat housing for raw water, and in this case it's actually for an Oldsmobile, which is quite odd, but it looks rough. As I said, it's got these fittings in it, which they will come out, and it needs to be wire brushed up and painted, and everything looks better with paint. But the bolt pattern is off, and of course it is, because it's for a Oldsmobile. The nice thing about these guys, not really sure what that number is right there, but these guys are universal. That's why the tab is so large. You know, I mean, why would they just not make a tab and drill it right in the center, you know, if they were just making these individually for these only Oldsmobiles. But if you take a, I've got one over here, if you take a gasket for a Chevrolet and you put it on there, and it's like, yeah, well, that fits perfect, doesn't it? Yeah, and then you just go like that, and it actually straightens out the thermostat housing to where it fits right perfectly on the block. So that's what I need to do now, while I'm waiting for them bolts to dry for the fuel pump, is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get these drilled out. I'm going to actually drill this one. I think I'm going to have to Dremel this one out because it's just kind of a half horseshoe here. And then I need to wire brush everything up and get everything cleaned up. Got to find some bolts. I also have to make a couple gaskets. I'm not going to find one of these in my drawer, that's for sure. But I already have found the actual base gasket, so that's no big deal. And I think I have a thermostat sitting over there on the shelf, so that should be a plus. And because it requires a little extra work, it's cost me about half of what a new one would cost me. And this is actually the only used one that's available on eBay at the moment, which means there's none used on eBay at the moment. Off to work. got our fuel pump actually installed. Didn't even bother filming it. I wasn't going to bother because it's been such a pain that it didn't need no pomp and ceremony. It's in. It was even a little rough going in. Yeah, but it's the right one. I'm happy that it's done. At least for now. As I said, if it gets in the boat and it becomes a problem, boop, out it goes, and off to electric land I go. And while I was waiting for the bolts to dry up and such, I was working on my thermostat housing, which soon will be my new thermostat housing. And we got everything cleaned up, everything out. Got our bolt holes down here. This one's extended, the new one's drilled. Like I said, when you put a washer on top of this guy, you'll never know the difference. I mean, it's a thermostat housing. If you're in here looking at thermostat housings and going, oh no, it's a universal one, because they actually make a universal one, if I remember correctly. It had multiple holes along here. You know, that's on you. But it's nice and warm now. It's dried up. I got it all scrubbed up in the sink. A little cold outside to actually be painting, but that's what I'm going to do next. It's getting a little late to fool with the oil system tonight. We may get to it, we may not, but time to go do some painting. Well, this is the end of another day that didn't seem very productive, but to me it really was. I mean, like I said, we got the wires all done. We got a plan for the coil. We just need to find another part to make sure our plan will work. We've got the front of the motor, as far as I'm concerned, is pretty much done until we do the install. If it doesn't work out this way, then at least I have a complete motor that I'll have to alter, as opposed to parts of a motor that I have to come up with a design and everything just out of thin air. We also went ahead and started fooling around with our thermostat housing, like we said, and we got 2 coats paint on it. It's quite wet at the moment, so we won't be doing that. And we got all our parts out for it. Yeah, we got pieces, we got gaskets, we got thermostat 140. I like to run the 140s around here. Got even new stainless steel bolts to put it back together. Just gotta find another one of these to actually attach it to the intake. But we've even gone as far as take out our oil filter bypass thingamabob, and went ahead and got it painted up and started playing around with these fittings. I'm gonna have to do some more tomorrow. They're real tight when you put these guys in. You know, when you got to turn them, and the ports are so close together that you really got to do some alterations. Like I've started to do this one here. As you can see, it's starting to get the corners knocked off. As long as I don't get in the threading or screw up the actual thickness of it, it shouldn't be an issue. I just kind of round some corners. But that's about as far as I'm getting now. We'll pick this up again tomorrow. We'll see you then. Alright, this will be for race boat life. Let's do that again. Again, I've thought about this. Let's do that again. One more time. But the first thing I want to do is dump this McGuire's in it. So I have it sitting on... Yeah, I screwed that up. But we are where we are. What the hell was that saying I was going to say? No, we're not going to do it literally. Ugh, God. Alright, let's do this again. Alright, let's do this one more time. When you could just tighten this thing down, it changes all the angles. So, I mean, let's just leave that part out. We're going to do this in one take. Yes, we are. One take. Welcome to a... Wait a minute. We already done that. Alright, update here. Never mind. Alright, let's start that over. Alright, we're just getting the little things going along here. No, we're not. This ain't working.